Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the first week of the 2025 Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference weekly football coaches video conference presented by Wells Fargo. I am Patricia Porter Mayfield, Associate Commissioner for the MEAC, and I will serve as the moderator and host of today's question and answer session. Before we begin, I'd like to go over today's procedures. The conference will begin with the MEAC notes featuring conference highlights, upcoming events, and weekly accolades. Afterwards, we will ask each head coach questions about the previous week's matchups, the upcoming games, and followed by questions from the media. To ask a question, simply click the raised hand feature, remain muted, and you will be introduced. At this time, the MEC notes will be brought to you by Director of Strategic Communications, Ms. Elise Scripter. Go ahead, Elise.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayfield. Good morning and welcome to the 2025 MEAC Athletics season. Classes are back in session and our sports calendar is quickly coming to life. We opened this past weekend with a statement win from North Carolina Central as the Eagles defeated Southern 31-14 in Atlanta during the 20th MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff. This week, all 6 MEAC football programs take the field. Delaware State and Norfolk State will get things started on Thursday night with season openers, both under leadership of first-year head coaches. Our volleyball programs are in the spotlight this week with the MEAC Sports social media takeover, giving fans exclusive behind-the-scenes access as we count down to opening day on Friday, August 29th. Howard enters the season as the preseason favorite, earning 116 points and 8 first-place votes. The Bison, led by head coach Sean Kupferberg, returned 3-time MEAC Player of the Year Ryan McKinnon and 2024 Setter of the Year Leah Reeves. Delaware State was picked second with 114 points and 7 first-place tallies, highlighted by the return of Garen Tomlin, the 2024 MEAC Championship Most Outstanding Performer, and Rookie of the Year, Paige Ahakuelo. Coppin State, the 2023 MEAC champion, rounded out the top 3 with 98 points. The Eagles are led by preseason All-MEAC standouts Kenya Stafford and Coco Figueroa. Coppin will also host the 2025 MEAC Volleyball Championship November 20th to the 22nd. The first serve of the new season comes Friday at 9 a.m. when Morgan State faces Arkansas Pine Bluff at the Beth Austin Invitational, hosted by Alabama A&M. Cross-country season also begins Friday, August 29th. South Carolina State opens at the Charleston Southern Buccaneer Open, while Howard competes at the Mount 5K Duels, hosted by Mount St. Mary's. On Saturday, August 30th, Delaware State, Norfolk State, and Maryland Eastern Shore will all line up at the UMES Invitational. That concludes this week's MEAC Notes. Back to you, Mrs. Mayfield.
Thank you, Elise. It is now time to begin our interview sessions. We start this morning with Howard head coach Larry Scott. Last year, the Bison finished 4-8 overall, 1-4 in conference play for a 5th place finish in the MEAC. This season, Howard is predicted to also finish 5th in conference preseason polls and are led by 7th-year head coach Larry Scott. Good morning, Coach Scott.
Good morning. 7 years. Wow. Maybe trying to give me some like, whoa, I don't think it's been 7.
Okay,
I
well,
know it's been a fast 5 going into year 6, but
okay, I'll get that updated, Coach. Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. I'm
morning.
looking forward to this upcoming season. Thank you for leading off our call this morning.
Absolutely. And a better way to get it started. So let's go.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, as I mentioned before, last year you guys finished 5th in the conference regular season. Excuse me, in the conference overall. Certainly not the position you were aiming for. As you look to put that year behind you, what has been the focus for you and your staff during the offseason and preseason to talk about rebounding that program?
Yeah, we talk about, iron and sharpen iron. You got to go back and look at where you were, right? So we'll go back and say, okay, these are the things that we did. And you can't hide away from it. You can't duck it. So we got to go back and address those things, pick up the pieces and rebuild. And that's exactly what we did. We called it a hard reset all the way back to January. When we got back to campus, the reset button, the power down button was powered down and we hit the reset and we started again. So it was a total rebuild from the bottom up, from rebuilding our standard, accountability, and everything inside and outside of the program. So Exactly what we took from it. Obviously, it's not where we want to be after the previous 2 years of where we were. And that is our standard. That's where we want to always find ourselves. And so we went back to work to get back to that point.
Despite the reset, you do return several key returnees, but you also have a lot of new faces and players that are stepping into larger roles this year. Can you talk about the makeup of this year's team, highlight any key impact players, and share what you believe will shape the outcome of this season?
Yeah, I think we're fortunate here. We have young men that get into the program and they kind of stay in the program. The value of getting a college education at Howard University and degree stands for something and it means something. So we don't have a lot of bounce in and bounce outs, but what we do have is a lot of young men that endure the process of development and go through that from being 18 and being 22, from going from 18 to 20 years old, and the maturation process of bigger, stronger, and faster, and what that means. So they understand the waiting your turn. And so we've had some guys who've had to kind of just sit and grow and learn and wait for their opportunity, so to speak, kind of the way that we all came up in it playing the game. So and now they're excited. They get an opportunity to put their skill set, out in the forefront for people to understand who they are, and excited about building around this group of young men that have brought a new energy to our program, a new sense of accountability, a new sense of, now it's our turn, it's our time. We were recruited here. We were brought here for a reason, and now it's time for us to showcase what that is all about. So just excited about how this team is built top to bottom, and I think we have something to show people. So we're excited to get out there and play this weekend.
All right, you've talked about it. You're talking about showcasing this upcoming weekend. This week, you will take on Florida A&M in the Orange Blossom Classic. What stands out to you about the Rattlers team, and what is most important for Howard as you look to come out with a win this season opener?
I think what's most important is, you think about any, team in the state of Florida, being that I've coached in that state a lot, you think speed. You think speed, physicality, skill set, a lot of skilled athletes running around and making plays. The thing that makes this a little bit different is what you see is what you may not get. Being as though, all you have is what was what was left of last year's team, and you watch that. But the way in the landscape of college football now, from year to year, what you see on tape is probably not what you're going to get from a lot of these programs because they're able to retool from a transfer standpoint. So we got a lot of guys out there that we're not, very familiar with, that we've been watching on tape, and trying to do our due diligence as best we can to set ourselves up for success in this game. But there's a lot of unknowns when you go into game ones, and especially now in the landscape of college football, it's unknowns as far as coaching changes, and then you have all of these unknowns as far as the amount of transfers that you see, stepping into programs, and the first time you're going to see them is when you actually get ready to line up in the game to know what you're getting from a personnel standpoint. So a lot of ambiguity out there, a lot of unknowns, and what you really do is that causes you just to kind of fall back on the things that you want to be really good at, and things that you want to build foundationally for your program as you set the standard of what it's going to be like all season. So this game is much about us. I know that's always sounds cliche, but especially in game ones, this is really truly about the precedent that we want to set for the program and the style of play that we want to be, and then go out and kind of make the adjustments and handle the environment as as it dictates what we need to do. So, and which is always kind of fun too, right? We're going to all be on our toes, but at the end of the day, football is still about blocking, running, catching, tackling, and you want to go do some of those base things really, really well to give yourselves a chance in game one.
Well, thanks, Coach Scott. That concludes all of my questions this morning. We'll now take questions from the media. As a reminder, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced.
Our first questions for Coach Scott will come from James Hill.
Good morning, Coach Scott. It's James Hill with James Hill Sports. I hope you're well. How you doing, sir?
Doing well, James, with James Hill Sports. That's something new, huh?
We've had it, but thank you so much. The Hill, Howard Bison's football. Talk a little bit about your team, your camp, and moving into week one and what you'd like to get done down in Miami Gardens.
Yeah, our camp was a real physical one. We kind of got traditional and old school in a lot of ways, of developing a sense of toughness and mental grind. Kind of grinded on these guys a little bit to build the callus for what we feel like is going to be, the standard in which we want to play football continuously here at Howard. So it was a tough one. We're getting some guys back from some bumps and bruises and different things there along the way, but we wanted to condition the way that we wanted to play football, and so we made it intense. It was very highly competitive, an intense physical camp that the guys are getting their feet back under them from and those type of things. But the message was very well sent of what style of football team that we want to be on both sides of the ball, and especially in our kicking game. So it was a physical camp. It was, again, a camp of high accountability, a camp of high details, a camp of high structure and standards, in which we wanted to make sure guys understood that, we're not assimilating to the other things. We're going to assimilate to these core things, and we're going to do them very, very well. And that's who we're going to be. So it was one that was kind of, like I said, a hard reset, focused and built around, trust, accountability, commitment, and care on all of those different things. So we're excited about what we're doing, and we want to make sure we're playing football to our brand and our standard. And that was very well felt from the very beginning.
Coach, the Orange Blossom Classic 1933. Here we are in the 2025 installment. Two of the most iconic blue blood brands when you look at Howard University and FAM. Just talk a little bit about the pageantry and outside of the game, why this is important historically, Black experience in HBCU.
Yeah, I think you just said it, James. The two brands, right? Howard and Florida A&M. When you talk about historically Black colleges and universities, I promise you those two are going to reign synonymously at the top when people start going down the list. Correct. So I think to put those two brands together in a city like Miami in Hard Rock Stadium is kind of just the epitome of the excellence that these two universities represent and what the two universities stand for globally. Not just, on the East Coast and those things, but across the country as far as, academics and athletics and sports and entertainment and all those things go. So I think it's a clash of culture on a lot of different fronts. And what more of a better city than doing it in Miami, Florida, and Hard Rock Stadium. So I'm truly excited about that and what that means for us across the board culturally, and setting the tone that way to start the college football season off.
Thank you, Coach. Have a blessed week. Looking forward to it.
Our next questions for Coach Scott will come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach Scott. How's it going?
I'm doing this. How are you?
Pretty good. Glad to be back. As James mentioned about the Orange Blossom Classic, I listened to the press conference you did with Coach Colsey, and I remember you saying about how this culture, this standard is something that you want to lean on in terms of recruiting, with kids, but also you guys are really in the middle of, whatever's going on over at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Just how important is it to kind of sort of impress upon these young men that they not only represent the university, but they're people, and that, just to try to give them something, give your student body something to sort of distract them from the mess that's going on, and how important that's going to be come this Saturday?
Oh, well, we talk about just winning, right? Winning, the acronym, what's important now. Just focus on the things that you control, right? Right now is the start of the semester. So they're getting acclimated to academically getting back in the rhythm of school and understanding the standard and time management and all those type of things. Focus on the controllables. All the other things that are on the outside world are going to be going on. They're going to go on around you the rest of your life. So it's kind of a life lesson too, all at the same time. While all the other madness is going on around you, the only elements that you're responsible for and held accountable to are the ones of your own, right? And making sure that you're taking care of the business that is in front of you each and every day. So get up every day, attack your day, attack what needs to be done for you to have the level of success that you want to as a student athlete here at Howard, and let the rest of the world and those type of things go on and fix themselves. But, just really talking to them about staying focused, really controlling the things that they control, which is right in front of them, and winning the day. And that's what's important now. So getting up and going to class this morning was the most important thing, right? Having breakfast, getting your weight, getting, your lift group in, getting over here to meetings this afternoon and today's practice. That's what's important. So let's just stay focused on those things in our day-to-day process of our preparation of getting ready to play this game this weekend, and let some of the other things, take care of themselves. Too much of that is, can be too much to put on the shoulders of young men as they're trying to find their way in this world and make the impact they're supposed to make. So, keeping them focused on what's important to them in the moment and time that they're in is what's important for us.
And you have another action-packed non-conference schedule this year. FAM just starts it off. Just how important is it for these kids to know that even before we get into the meat and potatoes of MEAC play, that they're going to see the very best competition, and hopefully that prepares them for the grind that is the conference schedule.
That's what absolutely you should make college football all about. I mean, these young men, these are some of their dreams, goals, and aspirations. When they put their head down when they're in high school and they dreamed about playing college football, this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to play in big time games like this in arenas like this. We're going to give our young men 4 opportunities right off the rip to play in NFL stadiums and NFL cities, Philadelphia, Miami, New York City. So at the end of the day, this is an experience for them too, as well as they, go through this journey in life and this journey in college football, because there's only so much football you're going to get a chance to play. And you want to build those moments and memorable moments. And so those are moments and times and stadiums and opportunities these young men will never forget. They'll bankroll these experiences and take them with them. Now, we want to make sure we put ourselves in the best position to be able to win and be competitive in all of them. But as long as you're playing football at Howard, we're going to try to put you in those arenas and in those atmospheres and in those big time ball games as many times as we can, obviously to prepare you for what MEAC play will be week in and week out. But holistically across the board, this is about these young men having a great college experience, and to have these games on ESPN to start the season in a city like Miami, in NFL arenas and stadiums are experiences you can't take back. And so just like they can go get those experiences at P4s and PWIs, they can get them at HBCUs and at Howard University. So we want them to feel that too.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Nathaniel Henry Jr.
Coach Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Nate. How you doing?
Great. Nate Henry, Howard University Sports Media. Coach, I just have one question. Where were you most pleased of coming out of summer camp from an offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint?
I think to make it as competitive as we did, the level of competition in which these young men competed, the entire camp was what we took away from it and felt really good coming off. I mean, we had the one of the last plays that we ran in a camp type setting in a camp practice was the last of a 2-minute drill, which we installed a 2-minute play, point play. In a kind of a 2-minute session, and these guys were flying around and being competitive and running to the ball and wanting to win, and it was all the way up into the last rep. So just the high level of competition day in and day out. You kind of wait as a coach, if you've been doing it for a long time, for when that wall day is going to come, whether that's day 6, day 7, day 8, and you're kind of waiting on it. And we kind of never felt that. The guys brought an energy, they brought a sense of high level of competition and a high level of physicality. We wanted this to come out of this and have a very competitive, spirited, and physical camp, and we were able to do that without a ton of injuries too as well. And that's always kind of the balancing act of training camp, is to make sure you don't come out of it too beat up, to be ready to go in game 1. So the guys did a good job of taking care of their bodies and responded well to that level of physicality too.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good luck this week.
Appreciate it, Nate.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Ray Rogers.
Good morning, Coach. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Ray. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Good to see you as always. And we know what the Bison bring in terms of the running game. We've seen what Ian is doing in preseason, by the way. So that I know that's dope as a coach. But what I want to know is, the country knows that Eden has been extremely explosive. Can we expect to see more of him in the game plan this week and throughout the course of the season?
I think we're going to see the best of our best players that we're going to put out there to play, and I think at the end of the day, we all know what Eden's capable of. We've all seen it and viewed it and all those type of things. But this the one thing I like about this football team is the depth of it, of kind of the guys that we have that have that kind of playmaking ability and explosive nature about their play. So excited to watch all of these guys play. Needless to say, you're excited if E5 is rolling and feeling it and going, and we all know what that can look like too, as well. So truly excited about him, yes, but there's a host of other young men, man, that have been kind of just jumping off the tape and jumping off film and different competitive drills and things like that excite you as well. So I'm excited to just see this young football team go go be exactly what they've been all training camp and all from winter and all those type of things, and kind of show the world that there's some other names out there that will emerge. I promise you that.
Appreciate you, Coach, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Daryl Duvall.
Coach. Hey, I'm sorry I missed you at the MEAC football event. Something came up at the last minute. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of, just kind of talk about real quick. I just got two questions on the scouting and technical adjustments. What have you seen on film from Florida that you're particularly focused on terms of preparation?
I think, anytime you're preparing, again, like I said, for a team like that, they obviously they know how to win. They've proven that year in and year out. They kind of got us a little bit there in the end of the Celebration Bowl 2 years ago. And but it's the same thing, speed, physicality. One thing about guys down there, they love to play football. And so just, them coming out, being really amped up, and not knowing a lot about their personnel. There's a few guys that are still on the roster that are still around there. That'll be playing in this game, but they've had a lot of new faces in lieu of the transfer portal and transfers and different things like that. So we know a lot of what we see on tape is not what we're going to get. So kind of being prepared for all the elements of the unknown is still very much alive and well. But I know they're going to be well coached. I know they're going to be fast. I know they're going to be physical. That's just kind of the brand of football in that state and what that is and represents. So. That's what the biggest things we'll have to be ready for, and then we just kind of have to weather the elements a little bit and figuring out personnel and what they're trying to do and those type of things with a new defensive coordinator and a couple new faces on the offensive side of the ball too from a coaching standpoint. Kind of a lot of ambiguity in game one when it comes to scheme and personnel.
Okay, because I was going to ask you about the balance style. Florida A&M strength and weak and tendencies, but I think you kind of answered all those questions right there and within that what you just said. But hey, I just want to say good luck this weekend. I know there's a lot going on in DC. Matter of fact, I have a nephew that goes to Howard University, and my sister lives up there. So I'm just praying for you all, man. Distractions, there's no distractions. Okay.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and that's definitely something that we always have to talk about with our young men. So appreciate that.
No problem. You have a good day.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach. Dwayne Nash with the Yard HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well, Dwayne. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. To kind of piggyback off of what was just said, what has been your message to your players on how to maneuver themselves throughout the city with the recent happenings and what's been going on in DC here?
I tell you what, DC is that, in some shape, form, or fashion all year. It's like that all the time. To change the messaging is really something that we hadn't really needed to do. One thing I'd say about our Howard community, it is a community, and we're able to keep it in this square block radius of where Howard sits between Georgia Avenue, 6th Street, and Girard. We were able to keep it kind of fine-tuned within our network and our community, and our campus people here do a great job of helping our young people feel safe and keeping them safe, even though we're in the middle of the city in an open campus. But all the same things that we always, talk to them about, and even in just normal times, which aren't very normal in DC anytime, just being awareness, making really good decisions, traveling in packs. We always tell them anything after midnight probably is not good for you to be out and all those things. So just, applying some of the same things year in and year out, day after day, are just the things we continue to harp on. Because if they'll do that, we want them to also feel safe in this environment. And the biggest thing, obviously about the human nature in people, man, it's not the idea of just being safe, but it's feeling safe. And so we just want to keep that in the confines of our community and how we address these young men and keep them moving in the fashion in which they need to move. There's enough stress in this world already going on besides the feeling of not being safe. So it's just a continued message, very consistent with the way we teach and talk to them every day.
And one final question, Coach. I want to bring up a potential opponent that won't be on the field for you guys. Being a Florida guy, you're very familiar with how unexpected the weather can be down there.
Yeah.
And with your experience of what happened in 2022 at the MEAC SWAC Challenge, has your staff carried any of that over with you guys? What could potentially happen down in Miami? I've been down there for Orange Blossom Classic. It gets extremely hot down there. I just looked at the weather report. They're talking about potential thunderstorms. Are you guys prepared for what could potentially happen with weather down there?
Man, look, we're potentially ready for anything. And I think that's just the way that you talk to these young men about life. And you'll see the slogan we say around here sometimes. It's on some T-shirts. It's everywhere. We just say good. There's no excuses. Good, man. And not to, in lieu of not being great because it's not even fitting into the same category, but just good. No excuses. If the game has to be played in a mall parking lot, put the ball down. If it's got to be played in a bowling alley, put the ball down. If it's got to be played in rain in a monsoon, put the ball down. If it's got to be played in 95-degree weather, put the ball down. If it's got to be played on turf, put the ball down. At the end of the day, we're not going to make any excuses for, where and how you get the opportunity to play the game. To play the game is to play the game. And if you love football and you love competing and you love the opportunity that it takes to compete and built that win, that's part of your DNA. That's how you roped and rapped. It doesn't matter. So all those elements are things that are out of our control. The only thing that we can control is our level of preparedness, our level of want to, and our high level of competition that we're going to provide and bring to any environment at any time. So we're not focused on that. We're focused on just our level of continuing to prepare, and we'll be ready to do it in any situation wherever they put the ball down.
All right, thanks so much, Coach. And I'm still waiting on that matchup on when Howard's going to play down at Heck and Jamal.
You and me both.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Scott. Mrs. Mayfield, back over to you.
Thanks, Coach Scott, for joining us this morning, and best of luck to you this weekend and safe travels to you and the team.
No problem. Thank you so much. See you guys next week.
See you next week. Howard will face Florida A&M in the Orange Blossom Classic. That game kicks off on Saturday, October 30th at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. The game will broadcast live on ESPN Plus at 4 p.m. Our next interview is with North Carolina Central head coach Trei Oliver. Good morning, Coach Oliver.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Coach. Before we go into our interview session, just want to remind everyone about your 2024 campaign. The Eagles finished 8-3 last year overall, 4-1 in conference play for a second place finish in conference standings. North Carolina Central did open the season with a 31-14 victory last week in week 0 against Southern University in its 20th annual Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge. This season, North Carolina Central is predicted to finish second also in conference preseason polls. Now let's go ahead and get started, Coach. Good morning again.
Good morning again.
Congratulations on that win. North Carolina Central opened with that 31-14 victory over Southern, marking the conference's first victory in the matchup, ironically, since you guys did it in 2021 against Alcorn State. How significant was that win for your program and for the MEAC as a whole?
Well, it was big for our program, obviously, because first game of the season, and we wanted to start the 2025 season off the right way. But we, obviously want to represent our conference in a great way. But we went down there and had the opportunity to play in a game against Southern University. And, game one is always a concern because, sloppy play, for example, bad snaps and penalties, turnovers and things of that nature. And on the other side, not knowing who they were. They had a lot of roster change and a lot of different 2 new quarterbacks, and then we weren't really sure which quarterback we were going to see, so we kind of had to prepare for both. But we, kind of settled down a little bit. I thought we missed way too many tackles in the first half and gave up way too many explosive plays. They had 194 yards off of 4 plays alone. But we settled down. I thought my coaches did a great job at halftime with the halftime adjustments and came out and played much better in the second half, and we're fortunate enough to come out with a victory.
Well, Coach, as you mentioned, there were those first game jitters to start the season, but as you got into the second half of play, the team did show a lot of poise during that second half. What stood out for you most about your players' performance, and where do you see the biggest opportunities for growth moving forward?
Well, we talk about thermostat mentality, and we started off hot offensively, went down and scored in the first possession, and that's a situation where you don't want to get too high. Defense had to stop. And then we turned around and ended up giving up they scored, and then we fumbling the football. So we just had to settle down. So not too high, not too low. But again, once we made some in-game adjustments and shored up some of our run fits, I thought we played, much better.
Well, this week you travel to face New Hampshire. Last year, the Wildcats finished 8-5 and made their 18th appearance in the FCS playoffs before losing in the opening round. However, there will be some new faces on that roster this year. Talk about your impressions of what you've seen so far for this team and what will be the key takeaways for the Eagles to be able to come away with the victory.
Well, this is like last week. This is their week. This is their first game. So we don't have anything to go off of from this past week. All of our film study has been previous games from last year and our game from we played them a couple of years back. But, it's going to be like, preparing for Southern. You don't know who you're going to see, and we don't know what their roster really looks like. We haven't gotten it too deep on them, so I don't even know who their starters are right now. So the focus this week is going to be like last week. It's going to be focusing on ourselves, what we do, and how we do it. So, again, my coach is going to have their hands full, after their first series or two, trying to see what they're doing, how they're trying to attack us. Then we're going to have to adjust and go to work.
Okay. And I apologize, I misspoke. You don't travel, you host New Hampshire this week. So
Right, in Durham. Ironically, both of them are in Durham. Both schools are in Durham.
my fumble. Thank you. Well, Coach, that concludes all of my questions this morning. We'll now ask you to take questions from the media. As a reminder, please use the raised hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced.
Our first questions for Coach Oliver come from Perry Daniels.
Congratulations, Coach Oliver, on the victory.
Yeah, thank you, Perry.
Coach, talk specifically about those adjustments that were made at halftime. You all came out in the second half and totally shut down that Southern University offense.
Well, I challenge the team as a whole. They had a very good running back. That Holly kid is unbelievable. He is unbelievable. He runs very hard, low center of gravity. He doesn't have a lot of surface area for you to hit, and he's an unbelievable running back. But the big thing, and we had talked about it going into the game as far as trying to stay out of one-on-one situations. Early in the game, they caught us in a couple of one-on-one situations, and on that play, their guy was better than our guy. We missed, we hit him, fell off, missed the tackle, and 80 yards later, their band's playing. So what we try to do is try to, get hats to the ball, and I challenge the guys as far as straining to get off blocks so we can get other hats there. And, I thought we were cutting checks early. Guys were diving for his legs. And he's a big physical back, but you got to hit him up top and just wrap up, and the guys will be coming. And I thought that our pursuit was a lot better. I thought we strained and shedded blocks. The guys got off blocks, and we're getting to the ball better, much better in that second half.
And your quick passing game seemed to be very effective against that defense. Was that something that you all saw going in, or was that an on-field opportunity that you saw?
First game, you don't know really how they're going to defend you. Obviously, you saw what they did last year, and you kind of prepare for that. We did want to take some shots down the field because we like some matchups, but with their secondary was playing so far off, we just had to be patient, and you can't push the ball down the field when they're playing that far off. So Walker did a great job with being patient, taking what they were giving us, whether it was the quick game, the three-step, or the check down to the running backs. So, he wasn't pressing. He wasn't trying to make the big play. Every play does not have to be a big play. So, he did a good job of taking what they were giving us, and we were able to move the chains and possess the ball. So that was a huge difference in the ball game. If you look at time of possession and field position, that was a huge difference in the game.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this season.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from James Hill.
Hey, Coach, how you doing, sir?
I'm well, James, and everybody in Durham is doing well as well. Thank you.
All right. Talk a little bit about your running back room. They really did their job on Saturday in Atlanta.
Yes, and it was by committee. I thought, Mosley popped it off, and he's somebody that has been a talent since he's been here, and he's been a very good running back. I kind of kicked myself this offseason because he should have gotten way more carries last year than what he did. And, obviously we had Jamari Taylor was a very good running back, but there was a play. He should have gotten more reps, more carries last year. But I knew he was explosive, and I knew all he needed was an opportunity. And he went out there and showed, everybody what he was capable of. And then we had a great changeup with the bigger back in A.J. Rogers. I thought he ran behind his pads, and he did well. And then Maggio came in, and this is probably his first game with meaningful playing time. And he came in, and I don't think we missed a beat. He got in the box as well. So all those guys I thought played really well. Coach Bankins has done a good job with those guys understanding their roles first and foremost. And then, when it's your turn, when it's your turn to go in the game, you must produce. So I was really pleased to see that. And you know what I'm going to say now. It all starts up front.
Coach, the Eagles Nest, it's a hostile environment if you're not wearing NCCU colors. Talk a little bit about just your environment and what Saturday can look like, your game when you play New Hampshire.
New Hampshire's a very good team. They're usually ranked in top 25 year in, year out. Very, very well coached, very disciplined, and they can flat out play. They're a nationally ranked team. So we're gonna need all of our fans to come out and support. We're gonna need to pack the nest and come cheer them Eagles on, man. But we're gonna need the support of that 12th man this weekend.
Thank you, Coach. Have a blessed week.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from Chris Stevens.
Good morning, Coach. Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports. How you doing?
I'm well, Chris. How are you?
Pretty good. You mentioned that up front, your offensive line, you had to be thrilled with the way they were able to neutralize Givens and the rest of that front seven. Just what was the message that you wanted your guys to send? Because that first drive was really impressive, and you guys were able to, chew up a lot of clock. You guys won the time possession 35-25. Just how big was that advantage in keeping Southern off the field?
I've been trying to tell you all that we have a very good offensive line. And, up front, both sides of the ball, I like our football team in the trenches. And, the guys, they listen to what you all say. They listen, unfortunately, they listen to the media. And the offensive tackles, Trei Humphreys and Sprinkle, they heard everybody keep praising the Givens kid and how great he was, and we couldn't block him, and how we're going to try to keep tight ends and use the back and chip them. And, I told you all, I love my tackles, and we can handle a kid. And I think the kid had 3 tackles and no sacks. And they didn't have a lot of help. So our guys played well. We were very talented up front. And, they were looking forward to the matchup. And they knew he was a good football player. And the kid's All-American and had 20-something missed tackles for loss last year. Very good football player. But I have some very good offensive linemen as well.
Of course, you guys have a leg up on everybody since you played week 0, but just how important is it going to be to kind of pace yourself to get into MEAC play? Obviously, you want to win as many games as you can before you get into MEAC play, but every time we talk, you say you'd rather go 5-0 in MEAC play. So just how important is it for these guys to sort of, manage what this non-conference schedule is going to be until you get into MEAC play?
We definitely want to go out 5-0 in conference, but that's way down the line. There's no pacing ourselves. There's all gas, no brakes. We got to get better every week. And we're not saving anybody. We're not pulling anybody out of games. I don't know any of that stuff. We want to win every game we play. That's why we play the game. So, the big thing is to see improvement week in and week out. You can't hope and pray that you get better the last 2 weeks of the season or whatever the case may be. Every week we go out here and step on this field, I want to see improvement in all phases. And I think that we have a good foundation from what I saw this past weekend on all 3 phases.
Last question reminded me of that. You said in the presser you felt like this was a slightly above average performance. Just how much more do you think this team has to go for you to feel like they're in peak condition? Obviously, it's just the first week of the season. There's still a lot left to play. But what do you want to see improve in this week when you guys get a visit from New Hampshire?
Everything. Tackling, first and foremost. Tackling. Our defense played really well in the second half, but we still, at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. We gave 250 yards rushing. That's crazy. 250 yards rushing is unbelievable. We gave up 4 plays for 194 yards. You cannot do that and beat really good football teams. We were very fortunate. The way the game played out and the way our offense was able to possess the ball, it really helped us with the deficiencies that we had. So we can't do that, man. You can't give up that many yards rushing and expect to win games. That's not going to happen. So we need to improve there. Obviously, in the red zone, we need to tighten some things up offensively. Walker fumbled, ball security. That game would have been totally different if Walker scores that drive that he fumbled. I think that the outcome of that game is totally different. But I think every area, I think we can improve. I do think that our special team play was outstanding. Our kickers, our punters, our long snappers, everybody, all those guys played lights out. Brandon Bowman averaged 48 yards a punt net. which is very good. Caleb Robinson did a really good job of kicking the ball on field goals and kickoffs. But we have to improve in every phase. Our coach have to coach better. I have to manage better. We just getting started, man. This is not the team that you're going to see next month.
All right, Coach. Thanks for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from Ian Unsworth.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
I'm good, Ian. How are you?
Doing well. I'm on the call this weekend for UNH and NCCU. First game with Jesse Thompson calling the plays defensively. What was it like sharing the sideline with him in his new role?
Well, it was fun. It was fun. I think Jesse pressured very early at the third play of the game, which I thought was a little aggressive, and we gave him a long run. So I had to tell Jesse, slow down a little bit, player. But I think, when you're playing teams that is early in the season and you got to have a feel, you got to pick and choose your pressures, when and how you do it. And sometimes you have to let you guys just settle down and let your players play. A lot of times it might not be the perfect call, but your guys will fall up on plays and they'll play you into a good call. But it was fun out there with them. I had, a couple of suggestions, but like I said, I let my coaches work. He and the defense staff went in, made the corrections, made the adjustments, and came out, and I thought they played really well in the second half.
And kind of following up on his side of things, you got a lot of young guys in your defensive backfield, but you held Southern under 100 yards passing. Who are some of those young corners, young DBs that have really taken a step forward to help your unit this year?
Tamaje Braxton is one that's really stepped up and helped us. I thought Tamaje has played much better over the past couple of weeks and throughout camp. And then Wade Harris as a long corner, and his technique and fundamentals have improved tremendously. He's about a 6'2", 6'3" kid, and he's come along tremendously, and the sky's the limit for him. But it's still a bunch of other guys that we want to play and get in there. And but we are young at a couple positions. But I think when you have a very good defensive line and that can get pressure on the quarterback, you can kind of sit back, play a little bit of zone at times, and take some pressure off those guys.
Got it. Thank you, Coach. I'll catch up with you later.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from Daryl Duvall.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. This is Daryl Duvall from Powering You Sports, Frisco, Texas. I just want to kind of talk about your momentum and team identity. Chris ran right before halftime, and that was a 49-yard run, and before halftime, and it swung the momentum. How did that play energize the team heading into the locker room?
Well, that's a good question, man, because we talk about the middle 8 minutes, the last 4 minutes of the first half, and then the first 4 of the second half. And we were plus 14 during those middle 8. Obviously, Mosley scored then we came out in the second half. Defense had a huge stop, and then we scored. So those 14-point swing was huge for that middle 8 that we talk about. And, just because it's a 2-minute situation doesn't mean you have to throw the ball. We want to get a positive play on that first down and then get in a rhythm. So, we dialed up a running play, and offensive line did a great job of creating some seams. We did a good job blocking the perimeter. And, when Mosley gets out, it's going to be hard to catch him.
And going back to that 250 yards that you let the other team that they got, and that momentum kind of swung at the end when he fumbled the ball going into the fourth quarter. I mean, what was your thoughts? I can see you on TV, and I mean, that was just a prayer because they were so far close to that end zone. What was your thoughts going into, hey, we finally was able to stop that run, that play?
When we were finally able to stop Southern from running the ball?
Yeah, when they basically were getting ready, they were almost going down, getting ready to score, and he fumbled the ball.
Oh, yeah. Bend but don't break. And I told my guys, that's a good football team. They're ranked number 1 in the SWAC West. They're a good football team. And obviously, they are a very talented football team. That Holly kid, I doubt there's going to be another running back we see that's going to be better than Holly this year. So we knew that they were going to make some plays, and we don't panic. If something good happens, keep playing. If something bad happens, keep playing. And we were opportunistic. Thomas Johnson came off the edge, had a strip sack, and we were able to, get the ball back. So, we knew those guys were going to make plays. Just don't panic, settle down, thermostat mentality.
Well, Coach, I look forward to continue watching y'all, and good luck next weekend.
Thank you.
And our next questions for Coach Oliver come from Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach Dwayne Nash with the Yard HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you this morning?
I'm well, Dwayne. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I thought I was tripping until I looked at the stats again. The amount of times that Walker ran the ball this past weekend, is it just me, or is it potentially that Davies is starting to rub off on him a little bit?
You talking about Walker running the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said in the post-game press conference, that's my new dual threat quarterback. Walker's gonna be toting that thing this year, man. It's about taking what the defense gives you and not trying to do too much. So obviously, if you know they did a good job of coverage, so now you know you got to tuck the ball and get what you can get and get down. And you know, before he was sliding the pass, I saw him try to lower his shoulder. So he's talking about, I'm trying to get in the box, coach, and you know that's what it is. You're trying to score, Walker. You know, you get banged up. We got two other quarterbacks over here, but you know, decision making is key, and taking care of the football is key. So Walker does a great job managing the game, and he does a really good job in decision making.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. All right, well, thanks so much, Coach. Good luck this week against New Hampshire.
All right, thanks.
Well, that concludes all of our questions for Coach Oliver this morning. Coach Oliver, thank you. It's always a pleasure. Lots of fun when you're behind the mic heading into this weekend's matchup. Best of luck to you and the team.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
You as well. North Carolina Central will host New Hampshire on Saturday, October 30th. That game will be played at the O'Kelly Riddick Stadium in Durham, North Carolina, and will kick off at 6 p.m. on ESPN+. Our next interview is with Delaware State head coach DeSean Jackson. Last year, the Hornets finished 1-11 overall, 0-5 in conference play. This season, Delaware State is predicted to finish 6th in conference preseason polls. The Hornets are led by first-year head coach DeSean Jackson. Good morning, Coach Jackson.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, yourself?
I'm doing well, and thank you, and welcome to your first MEAC Football Weekly Video Conference.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Well, Coach, as we've talked about, and I'm sure you've heard over and over again, this year, as if you don't know, is your first season as head coach and your first opportunity to lead the Delaware State football program. What has been your message to the team since taking over, and what are you doing to establish your sense of culture with this program?
Well, our message has been simple. I mean, you know, we have to come out and be a disciplined football, fundamentally sound football. We have to be the most conditioned. And, you know, we're just looking to change, you know, as far as our culture. We've asked our guys to, you know, it's a standard is a standard, and the standard is high around here. So within changing a culture and coming into a situation where, you know, you got new guys in, you bringing guys from the portal, you have existing guys. I mean, you know, you got to gel together, and everybody's been working together hard and, you know, pushing each other. But it's, you know, we take it one day at a time, and, you know, everything we do is, you know, we got to put the preparation before the success. So that's been the message around here in Delaware State.
Well, the overall program is coming off a tough season with only one win and no victories in conference play. And the preseason polls, of course, have you predicted to finish last. How are you and your staff using those challenges and those outside expectations to motivate this team heading into the year?
I love being an underdog, and you know, in my career, obviously this is a new career coaching, but in my career, I've always been an underdog. So, you know, we take it on our chin. We put our head down and chin up mentality, and you know, every day we're working. I feel like the guys has took the ownership and understanding where they place us, but you know, that's bulletin board for us material. You know, we have it in the back of our minds, but that's not what we're worried about. We're focused on being the best team day in and day out, and you know, I just stress to my guys to have that dog mindset, the dog mentality, and you know, being resilient. So everything we do is show. So like I stress to my guys, we have to put the work in. You know, no one's gonna give us anything. We're doubted. You know, people don't believe in us right now based off of the past 2 years. So we're excited and we're thriving in the moment. But one thing I will say, we're going to be a better team than we were in the past for sure.
Well, everything you've done in the preseason takes center stage this week as you're heading into that first game of the season. This week, you will take on local rival Delaware. The Blue Hens are transitioning from FCS to FBS and are returning 17 of 22 starters from the 2024 program. Can you talk about what this matchup means for you and the program and the community? And what are
Yeah.
you looking to ensure that the Hornets will be competitive and compete in that season opener?
Yeah, I mean, University of Delaware has, been the bullies in Delaware over the past few years. Think we're 0-11 versus them. We've never won. A lot of guys on the team are from Delaware, so they're understanding the rival. They're understanding that, Delaware has been the big brothers and have been the big bullies all these years. So, I think the team has took it ownership, took it on their chin and understood that. And that's why I keep going back to the work and the preparation that we're putting in. We definitely respect UD. They've done some great things in the past. They coming off of a season last year where they won 9 games, so we understand. Like you said, they just made the move from SCS to FBS now, so they definitely have the style of ball that we want to get to. We praise them, but at the end of the day, when it's time to line up versus them, it's us versus them, and we're going to do everything we can to go out there and win that game. But definitely a lot of respect to what they've done and their success. So just looking forward to ending that streak. That's a big streak they got against us. So we're just looking forward to ending that streak.
Well, thanks, Coach Jackson. That concludes all of my questions. We'll now take questions from the media. As a reminder, please use the raised hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. Our first questions for Coach Jackson come from Kevin Tressolini.
Hey, DeSean, thanks for joining us. Nice to see you. Was just wondering how the quarterback competition has gone in camp and who has emerged as your likely starter against the Blue Hens on Thursday.
Yeah, thank you, man. The competition is going great. Like I expressed to you the last time we talked, Caden Bennett's doing a great job of, leading this team and making the right decisions. As far as a leader, what you look for in your quarterback, you got to stay poised. You got to be able to, relay the message. You got to be able to calm them down in senses of, when things aren't going right. What's going to happen? Anybody can do great when, things are going good. But what's going to determine, what's going to be the determinant factor when things are not going well? So I think Caden Bennett has done a great job throughout camp and throughout summer, just going out there and just, expecting the guys to go out there and know what they're doing and expecting to lead, right? Leaders lead, players play. So that's our mentality. But, as far as our guy right now, Caden Bennett is our guy, and we have other guys behind him that can come in at any given time and be a key factor as well.
Hey, DeSean, you used the word underdog to describe, the mentality that can be very valuable for you. How important is it for you guys? You talked about the history of the series. The Blue Hens are going to be really hard to beat. How important is it for you guys to just kind of keep the right perspective and, regardless of what the scoreboard says, to do things that will make you a better football team?
Yeah, definitely. Going into this game, all offseason we've been preaching, University of Delaware. That's our first game, and we try not to get too ahead of ourselves and the next opponents and who else we play. So all emphasis has been on UD. They're a great football team. They do some great things. They're very physical up front. They have a lot of playmakers in the back end as well too. Playmakers that can do a lot of great things. The message to my team has been, they are the most talented team. They are the better team, right? We understand that, but not always the most talented teams win, right? We have to go be disciplined. We can't shoot ourselves in the foot. We have to make our plays when it's time to make the plays. And as long as we can keep that game close and it doesn't get out of hand, I think we have a great shot. I think University of Delaware, to be honest, they're used to playing a different team. We've created something special here. Our coach was different here. We got guys playing for one another. So I think going into this game, man, it's just a different brotherhood that I don't think University of Delaware has played against. And hopefully Thursday night they'll see that, and hopefully that's us staying in the game and just doing everything we need to do to win that game.
Thanks, Coach. See you Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Our next questions for Coach Jackson come from James Hill.
Coach Jackson, congratulations on all your success. How you doing this morning, sir?
Doing good, James, man. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Growing up, Long Beach Poly, and then up at Cal Berkeley, just the impact of coaches that poured into you, and now here you are. It's your turn to pour into these young gentlemen, and you have everything that they want, the Super Bowl, the whole thing. But just talk about the impact of coaching.
Yeah. The impact of coaching, man, is for me is a dream come true. This opportunity I've been presented kind of fell on my lap, and like I expressed, I'm very grateful and appreciative of the opportunity. It's a chance to get back to young athletes, young men that that want to have hope to make it to the next level if that's their vision. But just being realistic, the NFL is not for everybody. It's a small percentage of guys that make it to the NFL, and coming from an HBCU, our chances are even harder, right? So I think that's the realization of what we have here. But you have men that are hungry, man. You have men that hasn't had opportunities, that haven't had chances, that haven't had second chances as well too. So just being from a motivational standpoint, having all the information that I've been passed down from my career, from coaches that I respect, and now I'm in a position where I can go do the same thing and kind of just pour into these young men. So for me, man, it's been a dream come true. Been having a blast doing it, fun going out on the field, coming to the office every day, and just being enthusiastic and rejuvenated to just give these young men, information and game just to help them, even if it's not in between the white lines, just in the community, and being a student, being a father, being a brother. I mean, that's more of a situation, man. Hopefully giving these chances to these young men and letting them see how they can be better as men in life.
Coach, your first opportunity, it's a Delaware State thing. It's a Delaware thing. Rivalry, everybody in that area gets an opportunity to see your team and the Hens and that whole concept. But just talk a little bit about that going in a Thursday, and it's a great opportunity to compete and win a game.
Yeah, man, the opportunity presents itself. What better way? A lot of people here at Delaware State graduated from University of Delaware. Our president's a UD graduate, our athletic director. So it's a lot riding on this game. I understand that. It's going to be a tough challenge, and we're ready for the challenge. We don't get too caught up in being underdogs or being placed last. I mean, all that stuff doesn't matter because we still got to go out and play a game. So we understand that. And my response to that is just put us in between any white line and give us 60 minutes of ball and let us go play, and we'll earn what we need to earn. We got to go out there when we're not going to talk too much. We got to go out in the field and just show how we can play. And I think our coaching staff guys just put players in the right position to go out and be beneficial to our common denominators, which that's win games and change this culture around.
Thank you, Coach. Have a blessed week.
Yes, sir. You too.
Our next questions for Coach Jackson come from Chris Stevens.
Good morning, Coach. Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yourself? How you doing?
Pretty good. You mentioned that, this is a chance for you guys to break that streak of 11 straight losses. Just what if you had a chance to observe anything about UD? What if you observed about their skill players or their talent? What do you guys hope to do to counteract that on Thursday?
Yeah, man. Since watching day one, on offense, they're fast and furious offense. They got big offensive linemen that move well. They got good playmakers, a few good quarterbacks, some playmakers on the outside as well too. It's never been about anybody else but ourselves, though. I got to reiterate that because I feel like, in times you get caught up in who's the opponent and who you playing. At the end of the day, if we take up our responsibilities and we do what we need to do, Delaware State's going to come out on top, right? We understand that and we know that. Yes, it's going to be tough. Yes, they're the better team. Yes, they have the streak. That stuff to me in my life doesn't matter. I played a lot of football and I've been on a lot of teams that we potentially wasn't the best team and we still could go out and get a victory, right? So, I mean, playing in the NFL, playing in college, you're going to play against teams that, may be better than you. But does that mean that you go into that game thinking that you're going to lose or not preparing yourself to do the best you can to win the game? So that's been our message. That's been what we've been preaching here. And our goal is just to go out there and just stay close, keep it close. They're going to score. They're going to make their plays. And at the end of the day, as long as we keep making our plays and doing what we need to do, then we'll be all right at the end of that game.
As far as your camp goes, has there been a position group or a unit that has stood out to you as you get ready to start the season?
For sure, man. It's been several groups that stand out. And particularly our running back room, I think is, for me, it's a very explosive group. We have different types of play style abilities in that room, from toughness to speed, to power, to elusiveness. So, you know, our running back, our quarterback room standing out, did a good job. You know, our defense, our linebackers, it's a lot of positions. People ask me who's my favorite player, who's done the best. I mean, I think that's unfair to say because I think a lot of these guys has shown, you know, how much better we've got. You know, we've asked these guys to practice a different way. We asked them, you know, to fly around a different way. You know, so in breaking you know, a losing culture or a losing team, it comes with a lot. You know, so you know, I think it's brick by brick, day by day. We get 2% better. And that's our standard around here. So, you know, as we climb this mountain, as we keep going, I think you guys will be able to see.
Last question for me. Obviously a lot of wait. Oh, I'm sorry. He went out of my view. Sorry, coach. Last question from me. There's been a lot of talk about what Delaware State is going to be doing with in terms of building up the athletic program. You know, there's been a you know, the $20 million for the field house, all of these different things. You're coming in at a very interesting time in history of this university as far as sports goes. Just do you feel like there's any added pressure to get this football team off on the right foot, considering how much is riding on the university? Or is it just, you know, like you said, in between the lines for 60 minutes each week?
I mean, in my life, I feel like it's always been pressure. You know, I don't consider it being added pressure or extra pressure. I feel like coming from being raised, growing up how I grew up is always been pressure. You know, figuring out how I'm going to eat at night sometimes. You know, figuring out how I'm going to make it to school. You know, figuring out how I'm going to put clothes on my back. You know, so you know, as growing up and you having that edge, it just makes you hungry in life. So you put me in any environment, any situation, I'm going to come out swinging and figure my way out. So in this same sentence here, you know, me being a first-time head coach, being at an HBCU or some of the resources or some of the things may be at a disadvantage. I mean, you don't allow that to be added pressure. At the end of the day, when it's time to play games, whoever's available, whoever will play, that's who we'll be playing with. You know, so as far as you know, the stadium or the indoor facility, the $20 million, all that stuff is great. But at the end of the day, we got a job to do. And we got to go out there and win football games because none of that other stuff doesn't matter.
All right, coach. Thanks for your time as always. Best of luck this week.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man.
That concludes all of our questions for Coach Jackson. Mrs. Mayfield, over to you.
All right, Coach, I'm hyped. I'm ready to suit up. You got me ready. So looking forward to seeing an amazing game and seeing your Delaware State Hornets compete this Thursday. Best of luck to you and your team.
Thank you. You guys have a blessing.
You as well.
All right.
Delaware State will travel to Delaware Stadium in Newark, Delaware to take on the University of Delaware. That game kicks off Thursday, October 28th, and will broadcast live on ESPN Plus at 7 p.m. Our next interview is with Norfolk State head coach Michael Vick. Last year, the Spartans finished 2-3 overall, 4-8 overall, and 2-3 in conference play. This season, Norfolk State is predicted to finish 4th in conference preseason polls. The Spartans are also led by first-year head coach Michael Vick. Good morning, Coach Vick.
How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning and welcome. As I just welcome Coach Jackson, welcome to your first weekly football MEAC video press conference.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Coach, we'll get right into it because it's game time. We're right here. The start of the Michael Vick era at Norfolk State has generated a lot of buzz, a lot of anticipation. The Spartans were predicted to finish 4th in preseason polls and placed 10 players on the preseason all-conference team. How do you view those preseason expectations, and what message have you given to the team for exceeding them?
Yeah, I totally understand the preseason expectations. You know, rightfully so, based on, you know, the product that was put on the field last year. You know, when I look at the guys in our locker room, they've been committed, they've been dedicated, they've done everything they've been asked to do, starting from January through the spring and throughout the summer. And so I just think development on all levels, from a mental standpoint and physical standpoint. You know, we understand where we sit right now, you know, not looking at that as an opportunity to, you know, get back. You know, it's about what we do. We know that our play going to dictate where the standings sit at the end of the year. And so we're very focused on the task at hand. And with our upcoming game this week, we feel like it's an opportunity to go ahead and set the tone.
Well, before we get into this week's matchup, you have some key talent returning, including Kevin King at first-team All-MEAC running back, along with a fairly fairly decent, I would say, receiving core that will be pretty central to your new system. Talk about how you're shaping this team's offensive identity.
Yeah, starting with Kayvon, I think he's an awesome running back. Very agile, good vision, great feet. Like I said, and very explosive. He has deceptive speed, and really going to be tough to deal with it in the trenches. That being said, with the receivers that you mentioned, we had some guys that emerged. We had some guys that, really jumped off the screen in terms of their ability and what they could do. We had some guys that showed that they're explosive, great route running, and so we're just trying to fine tune everything, and seeing who fits best at what position was probably the most challenging because we had depth, and so we know nothing really happens without having a strong offensive line and being able to block up front. So those guys can't get the recognition that they deserve, or they can't be involved in the game. We don't do what we got to do up front. So it all starts in the trenches. It all starts with controlling the line of scrimmage and then working out.
Well, I must admit, as I'm watching you when you're talking about your receiving core, there's a little twitch that starts getting in your shoulders when you're talking about them, as if you can see them running those routes. But let's go ahead and focus and look to this week's matchup. Thursday night's opener against Townsend will kick off the first season, and it's also a nationally televised broadcast on ESPNU. What stands out to you about the Townsend team, and what will be the most important objective for Norfolk State to accomplish to get the right tone set for the season?
Yeah, well, I think Townsend, they have a very physical team, big on both sides of the ball front, a great offensive line, good defensive line. So it's going to be challenging in the trenches, but our focus is to, control the trenches and like I say, dictate what happens in the trenches. They have good players. It's very disciplined. They're gonna make you earn every blade of grass. It's not gonna be an easy task, but I feel like we have the players that match up really well, and so that on top of the scheme and how we scheme it up is going to be extremely important. So it's all about putting players in the right position to make plays, getting the ball into the hands of the playmakers, allowing our quarterback to go out there and play free, but trusting the guys in front of them and just going out and making good decisions. So we expect that from everybody, and hopefully, that's the telltale sign when it's all said and done.
Well, thanks, Coach Vick. That concludes all of my questions. We will now take questions from the media. As a reminder, please use the raised hand feature and remain muted until you are introduced.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. Our first questions for Coach Vick come from Wayne Cartwright.
Hey, Coach Vick, Wayne Cartwright, the Ride with Wild Wayne Cartwright. So with this being your first game and all the anticipation leading up to the first game, we know that some of the things that you can't anticipate or simulate in practices are the emotions of the game and the anticipations with the crowd. So what has been the process that you've undertaken for just yourself as coach and also with your coaching staff and the players ahead of this first matchup?
Yeah, it seems like every step of the way, it's always a new experience. We have guys who got experience in these type of environments, and guys like myself who has no experience in being in a stadium packed where you're coaching and just ready to get to it. But at the end of the day, it's football. It's football with rules and standards, and you got to understand, the regulations and what's going on around you. But I'm excited because, I can almost put myself in this atmosphere once again. Just excited for our guys that they're gonna have an opportunity to go out and showcase what they can do in front of a crowd that's anticipating great things, and they're anticipating great things themselves. So the bar's been set high. We have high expectations for ourselves, and we don't want to make it an overwhelming situation. We just want to go out there and just do what we do.
Well, good luck to you, Coach. Everybody's looking forward to seeing you guys this season, and good luck on Thursday night.
Definitely. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Vick come from James Hill.
Coach Vick, how are you and everybody in the 7 cities? I hope you're well this day. How you doing, sir?
Thank you. Likewise, appreciate it. Doing good.
Yes, sir. The impact of coaches on players. Here you are, the head coach at Norfolk, and we think about Coach Tommy you had in high school, Beamer Ball. Just talk a little bit about the impact you can have on pouring into these gentlemen.
Yeah, just on a daily basis, man. It's I won't say it's one thing after another, but I enjoy pouring into the young men, not just from a football perspective, but from an academic perspective, from a life perspective. I try to cover everything in all facets, and I think you have to show that you care. You have to show that you're not just a football coach. The word coach takes on a totally different meaning when you actually living it out every day. And I'm enjoying every minute of it. Like these guys are extension of my family. It's like having 113 sons on top of the 2 that I got. But that's what I signed up for. And so, we try to, do things to where we all understand why things are happening, what needs to happen, how it needs to happen, and when it's going to happen. And so we just try to, just stay on par with everything that's happening in life, man. And, the football part to take care of itself. That's what we work hard for.
Coach Vick, your quarterback room with the Spartans. Talk a little bit about that. And you have the blueprint, and you know how to help these young men. But who stands out in that quarterback room, and what are you seeing so far?
I have a great quarterback room, starting with Israel Carter. Israel has developed, since the spring. Just to go watch him get better each and every day, make his share mistakes, bounce back from it, stay resilient, continue to make good decisions, continue to get better in all 4 facets of playing quarterback. And quarterbacking is doing a little bit of everything and doing a little bit of everything right, down to leading your team and being the consummate teammate. And so we challenge him to do that. Otto Coons has really stood out. He can really compete it. He pushed Israel. They pushed one another. I got a quarterback room where guys make good decisions and know where to go with the football, and that's what I look for. I look for the consistency, and on a day-to-day basis, who's pushing who's challenging who, and how they can limit their mistakes. And so I watch those guys get better in all facets of quarterbacking. And so they got to just continue to do it. I tell them quarterbacking is just about consistency, and that's the only thing I can go off of in terms of how I view the success level as a quarterback. And so it's going to be challenging. It's the way it's supposed to be. I had coaches to challenge me on a daily basis, consistent basis, and I know what it takes to be in the top echelon. So they're going to have to do that, and they're going to have to work hard for it, and there's no shortcuts.
Thank you, Coach. Have a blessed week and enjoy your first game.
Thank you. Will do.
Our next questions for Coach Vick come from Chris Stevens.
Morning, Coach. Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports. How you doing?
Good, Chris. How you doing?
Pretty good. Obviously, you got a few more days before you walk out onto that field at Dick Price Stadium, but you're a 757 guy. You've been to that stadium before. Just how different is it going to be to walk out or run out with those young men, leading them onto the field? Have you thought about that? What that experience is going to be like at all yet?
Of course, I've thought about it plenty of times on plenty of occasions. I've been thinking about it since the spring. I've been thinking about it since I first took the job, and it kind of reminds me of when I had my first game as a freshman in college. Just the anxiety, a good anxiety, I would say. Excited for them, excited for how hard they work, meeting all the challenges at every turn, committing themselves and dedicating themselves, and now I get to go out and watch them and coach them at the same time. Go out and do the things that they know they can do, that we know they can do. And so, most importantly is right now it's just about being prepared and making sure our preparation is top notch. And we got 3 more days to get ready. So we taking advantage of those days, and when Thursday come, we'll come out that tunnel, and we'll make it do what it do.
How has it been, combining the kids that you brought in with the returning kids? Do you feel like these guys are all on the same page as you edge towards Thursday? Because obviously when you bring in, a few recruits as you have and have some kids returning, there's going to be a learning experience. It's almost like that first day of school, kind of, to, put it like that. Do you think the guys are on the same page as you get ready for Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, the influx of guys that we brought in on top of the guys that we had, I mean, I feel like we built a very tough football team. I always check the temperature in terms of attitude and who wants to be what and who wants to go where, who wants to accomplish certain things. And for the most part, it was a group of individuals who came together, understood the task at hand, that everything mattered. The product that we put out on the field is going to be a reflection of what we do on a weekly basis. And so everybody's just excited, man. We put in the hard work, and we know it's no shortcuts, man. We know where we stand. We know that, last year a lot of things could have been done better. And so we tried to correct those things. We tried to look at it different, and just wanted to identify all the issues combined with my experience and what I feel like can make for a strong football team, mentally and physically. And so I think now that we've crossed that barrier, now it's time to go showcase it.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. Best of luck this week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Vick come from Daryl Duvall.
Hey, Coach, this is Gerald Duvall from Empowering You Sports in Dallas, Texas. First of all, I want to say congratulations on your taking the job at Norfolk State, taking a big step. But I just wanted to kind of talk about your building your vision your first year. You brought in a local talent to your coaching staff, Hampton Alton Brown, and also Norfolk Leroy Reynolds. How are these hires helping you shape your team identity and culture as you begin your first season?
Yeah, I think with Elton, I think Elton had a great career as a collegiate player. I thought he had a really good run in the National Football League. He learned a lot. We spent time over the years. I spent time with him, where he was the offensive coordinator at the Prentice School. I always tried to go over there and lend some advice, talk to his players, and just kept an eye on what he was doing without even having a vision of becoming a coach one day. Was just extremely proud of him and the hard work that he was putting in. Leroy had a great tenure in the National Football League. As a linebacker, as a special teamer, you ask anybody in Atlanta, they love him. They love his energy. He can go back there anytime and be praised and be accepted. And the energy that he brings, the knowledge that he brings to the game, the passion, I think was something that couldn't be overlooked when you're trying to build a staff of guys that can be a representation of where these young men, might want to go one day, or just to be an influence on them. And so, we go by the mantra, I trust. And so, I think those are guys that I brought in that our young men can trust. And so, along with everybody else on the staff and their experience and what they bring to the table, I felt like we had an good influx of coaches and players.
Well, I look forward to seeing you this first game, talking to you after that first game, Coach. Good luck.
Yes, sir.
Our next questions for Coach Vick come from Kayla Sweezy.
Hi, Coach Vick. Kayla Sweezy with ESPN Plus Sideline. Welcome to the MEAC, first of all.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, what, from your perspective, do you think makes a good coach, and how have you maybe implemented some of those coaching styles as you lead in this first year from your collegiate career and your professional career?
Yeah, what makes a good coach? I mean, that's a good question, man, because, I've been around a lot of coaches who I consider good coaches, and they all had different styles. Some had different approaches to the offensive side of the game. Some had different approaches to the defensive side of the game. Some was, special teams coordinators, so to speak. And so, I think what makes a great coach is being well-rounded, being able to contribute in all three phases of the game without overdoing it, knowing what to look for, knowing what what each situation calls for, and just knowing your boundaries. But for me, it's a delegation process, it's an understanding process, and just trying to build players and coaches of high character who understand what it takes to achieve a level of success. And so, my job as a head coach is to, see everything, understand it, and just try to be on my A game the best that I can be. And so, really enjoying the process. Everything is new, even down to our first game this week. But I feel like once I get through my first game, I feel like everything just steamroll from there.
Thanks, Coach. Best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Vick come from Trevin Gray.
Hey, Coach Trei with the Virginia Pilot. How you doing?
What's up, Trei?
How's it going? I guess first, just want to know, what are your overall takeaways from fall camp heading into this season opener?
Overall takeaways from fall camp was that it was a very aggressive camp. It was very strenuous in terms of our players really showcasing what they can do, but obviously showing that they're ready to go against another opponent. And there were times where I felt like we was kind of physically abusing each other because of the high pressure situations we put them in and the things that we asked them to do and the demand, but that's football. That's football at a high level. That's what you want to see. And for me, our camp couldn't end fast enough. So thankfully we got another opponent. Somebody that we get to go face, and for the next 12 weeks we get to face opponents and really showcase what we can do. Our guys are excited. They know where they stand. They know we started at the bottom, and we just got to do all the things in between it to get back in good standings to a point where we're respected as opponents. And I think we just got to prove that on a snap by snap basis, week by week basis.
For sure. And for you personally, how are you feeling ahead of this first game? I know we talked a bit about that sporadically over the last few weeks, but has your feeling on that changed as we approach the actual game itself?
Yeah, it's up and down emotions. I try to, go through life, not thinking about, things too much. Even though I'm excited, even though this is what we worked hard for, can't believe that the actual game is approaching. But try to live a normal life as well. And I put myself in the shoes of when I played quarterback, when I was playing, and how I tried to go through the week, and how I tried to stay calm and knew it was calm before the storm. But at the same time, know that at some point all hell gonna break loose. And like I told the guys yesterday, we handing over the keys. Us as coaches, we can't get out there and help them. We can't play for them. It's up to them now. And so from that standpoint, I'm excited. I'm excited for my boys. They are like my sons, and they ready to put on. They're ready to show out. And you bet. The one thing I do know is they're gonna leave it all out in the field.
No, that's right, Coach. And I know Coach Shepard has connection to Towson. He was our OC last year. But how much have you guys chatted about the Towson matchup and kind of the things to expect? Obviously, teams are different as years go on, but how much have you guys had conversations about those things?
We've been talking about Townsend for a while. I'm always relate back to when I played, but I always just thought about my opponent over and over and over again, especially the first opponent of the season. Because you never know what you're going to get. Everything is new. You don't know how they're going to play. You don't know what quarterback is going to be out there, with running back, with scheme. They can change up the whole game. And so, we've talked a little bit about, just the things that, he feel like could be, to our advantage, or things that we could do better. Watch the game from last year, watch the game from the year before, and just trying to get an understanding of what they do, who they are. Like I say, very disciplined team. You got to come out and earn every blade of grass. It's not going to be easy. And so our guys who've played against them before had a lot of input. And so we just got to line up and wait to see what happens. But, certain for sure, the communication with Shepard has been at an all-time high. And we just trying to be prepared for any and everything.
Last one, Coach, still on Towson. You kind of touched on it there, but They're returning two of their, I think, 4 top receivers from last year, and as well as the leading quarterback. So the passing attack seems to project to be a bit more mature. How do you contain that passing attack on Thursday's game?
Yeah, they actually got 2 good quarterbacks. They got an older veteran guy, then they got a younger guy who can spin it as well. Good receivers, like I said. But we're going to challenge them. We want to challenge them. We want to make them earn it, just like they're going to make us earn it. We want to get after them a little bit, pick and choose our spots, and just try to disrupt timing. And I know what that feels like when timing is disrupted. And so that's part of the strategy. I don't know when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen, but I do know we got some guys that can rush the pass and get after the quarterback, and they ready to prove themselves as well. I think we have a football team who's ready to prove that they're better than what it says on paper. They definitely feel like the underdogs and feel like they're being overlooked, but that's just natural. That comes along with it. They put themselves in this position, and now we got to work ourselves out of it.
Thanks, Coach. Look forward to chatting with you later this week.
No doubt.
And our next questions for Coach Vick come from Lute Williams.
Hey, Coach, Lute Williams of the Black College Sports Page. I wonder, and welcome to the MEAC. Welcome to Black College Football. But what are the cliches or the statements that coaches in your past taught you that you are using on your players now?
I kind of got my own that I come up with. I try to think everything through every day, but Coach Beamer always just had the best one, and it was just so simple. It was just do things the right way, and that's whether you walk around campus, that's whether you're going into the dining hall, that's whether you're in the locker room. Do things the right way. Do things the right way. Nobody can say anything about you. Nobody can question you or your character, and it'll serve its purpose later on in life. And so, right now, while we having fun, enjoying football, and want to be the best that we can be, we want to always be able to look back, 5-10 years from now and say we learned a lot along the way, and hopefully them doing things the right way will be something that always stick.
And which one of the coaches in your past you think you learned the most from, or you think you bring more of that into your debut as a head coach?
Yeah, I learned so much from all of them because I always tried to hang on to every word that they said. But I think Andy Reid, because I spent so much time with Andy, he was a offensive minded guy, offensive coach. So for me to understand game plans and understand what he was looking for, I had to spend time with him and understand it. And he always did a good job of making me explain the game plan to him, or recite it back to him, or made me show him what we was actually looking for. And so, just little things that I was able to take away. It just, it helped. It helped in my process, and just as developing as a quarterback and as a player now as a coach, some of those things I can fall back on.
Good luck, Coach. We'll be looking forward to a big win on Thursday.
Thank you.
That concludes all of our questions for Coach Vick. Mrs. Mayfield, back over to you.
Thanks for joining us this morning, Coach Vick, and best of luck to you and the team this week.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Norfolk State will host Townsend on Thursday, August 28th at the William Dick Price Stadium in Norfolk, Virginia. The game will broadcast live on ESPNU and will kick off at 7 p.m. Our next interview is with South Carolina State head coach Chennis Berry. Last year, the Bulldogs finished 9-3 overall, 5-0 in conference play, winning the conference title and the berth to the MEAC, to the Cricket Celebration Bowl. This season, South Carolina State is predicted to repeat as conference champion in the MEAC's preseason polls. The Bulldogs are coached by Coach Berry, who's entering his second season as head coach. Coach Berry is unbeaten in conference play. How'd you like that, Coach?
That sounds pretty good.
Okay.
Good.
I know you're going to get me hyped up, before I end this call and be ready to go on my day. So I wanted to make sure I kind of gave you a pretty good lead in there.
Okay, appreciate it.
No problem. Well, let's go ahead and get to it, Coach. As we've mentioned, South Carolina State enters the 25th season as the preseason favorite to win the MEAC. You've not lost the conference game, and last year was a historic season, even for a program that is as storied as yours. Talk about how you and your staff are approaching the challenges that you're trying to live up to last year's expectations.
Wow. Okay. First of all, it's a great day to be a Bulldog. Super excited to be back with you guys again for the 2025 season. I don't take these moments lightly. Glad to see all the media here representing and, so we can talk a little bit about MEAC football. So, our thing is, we can't do anything about last season. Great season. Men came in, they bought into our process of what we're all about on and off the field, and they bought into it. Now, guess what? This is a new team, a new season. But our mission doesn't change. Our mission is to try to go 1-0 every day, win on and off the field, and just try to dominate the day. All right, yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, today's a gift. That's why they call it the present. So we got to maximize the present, be the best we can be on August the 25th. All right, if we take care of August 25th, by the time we get to August 30th, it'll take care of itself.
Well, this year's team, as you mentioned, looks very different from last year's squad. You have a lot of new starters that had to be replaced from that season. What have you been focusing on to develop the depth of this team and preparing those new players to step in some key roles?
You know what? It's kind of ironic that I'm probably more excited about our depth than anything. Yes, we have a lot of new players, but although we had some guys that made a lot of plays last year, we also returned some guys that played a lot. Although they may not have been a starter, they got a lot of playing experience. So again, one of the things that I am excited about is our depth. I mean, we got some guys competing at every position, and that's probably what made training camp so exciting. At every position, there's been some competition. And, competition brings out the best of you. And our young men, I'll tell you what, we have 105, and 105 are focused and locked in on our process. And we'll find out, when you go into first games, there's so many unknowns. It's unknowns from the opponent, but also when you got a new team, it's unknowns from us as well. So we're going to find out at 6 o'clock when that ball kicks off what kind of football team we really are. But I really love this team. I think we have some talent at every position, but the cream has to rise to the top. And I think those young men will be excited about the opportunity to go against somebody else. We've been banging each other for so long, so I get an opportunity to play against a good Wofford football team, and our young men will be ready.
You've talked about Wofford, who's your next opponent that's coming up, and that uncertainty of walking into this preseason game, this first season game. So looking ahead, you will be taking on the Wofford against in the SoCon. Wofford is predicted to finish 7th in their preseason conference standings, but will be returning 10 key players from last year's team. What stands out when you look at the film for this team, and what do you think that the Bulldogs will need to do to have a solid start to the season?
When you play these, first games, just like all the coaches said, so many unknowns. So we really can't worry too much about Wofford. Yes, we got to respect all our opponents, but fear none. But we have to worry about South Carolina State. We got to make sure that we're executing the things that we do best. So we've kind of taken the things I told our coordinators to just make sure, maximize on what we do well. Our identity, what are we known for? And then in the game of football, you got to make adjustments. We'll see how they are the first 2 or 3 series. And then they'll kind of see who we are, and we all have to make adjustments. But all in all, good football team. I tell you what, they were in a lot of close ball games last year. Coach Watson will have his team ready to go. They did some really good things offensively, defensively. Like I say, they went 5-7 overall, but all in all, they had some games that were really, really close. So it could have went either way. But it's a new team for him as well. As I'm looking at some of the write-ups on his team, he has 59 newcomers. I have 44 newcomers. In today's game, FCS football, a lot of us are playing with new guys. It's a new team every year. So we have to coach the guys we have. We're excited about it. And can't wait to see our guys go execute on this upcoming Saturday.
Well, thanks, Coach Berry. That concludes all of my questions this morning. We'll now take questions from the media. As a reminder, please use the raised hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced.
Thank you.
Our first questions for Coach Berry come from Wayne Cartwright.
Hey, Coach Berry, Wild Wayne Cartwright, the Ride with Wild Wayne. So what have you guys as a staff seen from this Wofford Terrier team that you can tell us ahead of this this first game coming up on Saturday?
First of all, how you doing, Wayne? Hope you're well, man. Listen, man, I mean, there's so many newcomers for them as well. But, you know, they're sound. They're very multiple. They do a lot of things on both sides of the ball. They're very sound in the kicking game. Good football team, no doubt about it. We're going to have to play our best game, you know, in order to put ourselves in position to win. You know, we always talk about, you know, finding a way to go 1-0. And that's not just 1-0 per se the game, but 1-0 for the day. And, you know, I think that they're a very well coached football team. They're sound. They know what they want to do. But again, they have a lot of newcomers. We have a lot of newcomers. And, you know, we'll get an opportunity to put our guys out there on Saturday and see how those guys compete in those kind of moments. What we've been focusing on more so is us, you know, trying to make sure that we're ready for situational football. The game of football comes down to situations. It's not just about running a bunch of plays. We got to be good in backed up situations. We got to be good in the red zone. We got to be good in 2-minute situation, 4-minute situation, the middle eight, all the situations we talk about. So we put our guys, make uncomfortable comfortable in practice. We put them in uncomfortable situations throughout practice to see how those guys would do in practice, so we don't have to wait to find out how they do in the game.
And then my last question for you, Coach, is obviously Eric Phoenix left, departed the program. So now you're replacing a new quarterback at that position. So what can you tell us about where you guys stand at quarterback?
Hey, you better have one. Tell you what, every team in America, you better have a guy. But we've had a very exciting competition and training camp. Obviously, as you know, Eric Phoenix, he was MEAC Player of the Year. He's gone. He's now going and doing what he's doing in his life, and he's being very successful. I think he's doing some coaching now, so I'm pretty excited about Phoenix. But Ryan Stubblefield was his backup last year, so Ryan played in some games. Dual threat quarterback. He can run it, he can throw it. He's got great arm talent. He knows our offense. Has done a great job in training camp. But we have a young man by the name of Billy Atkins who transferred to us from James Madison University, and those two have really been getting at it. Billy's very, very talented as well. He's a dual threat. He can spin it. He has great arm talent. And, we're going to find out on August 30th which one runs out there.
Well, good luck to you, Coach. It was a great first year for you guys. Looking forward to see what you guys do for an encore. Pleasure to talk to you.
Appreciate it. God bless you.
Our next questions for Coach Barry come from James Hill.
Coach, I hope you and everyone in Orangeburg are well. How you doing, sir?
Mr. Hill, how you doing today, sir?
I'm blessed. The Bulldogs brand of football, physical, that line of scrimmage. Tell us about your line on the defensive side, those linebackers, and those gentlemen who really, really get after it. So far, what you see in camp.
You know, first of all, thank you for recognizing that about South Carolina State. You're right. South Carolina State traditionally has been known for physical front, and it always starts with, for us, you got to be able to run the football, you got to be able to stop the run. And we have some really good defensive linemen since we'll put our focus there. We have 16 defensive linemen in camp, and those guys have really, really, really been getting out there, starting with Josh Barker. Josh Barker is the real deal. I mean, the reality is Josh Barker, if you're an offensive coach, you have to game plan to block Josh Barker. Because if you don't game plan to block him, he'll disrupt your whole entire game plan. And he's had an unbelievable camp. And we're expecting a big year for Josh Barker. We'll move him around to different places. So they're going to have to find a way to find out where he is. So he's been a great leader as well. Jordan Dollar, and he's a big 6'6" defensive end who played a lot for us in 2024. He just wasn't a starter, but he got a lot of playing experience. He's having an outstanding camp. Super excited about him, And then you talk about one of our other defensive ends that transferred to us from Tulane University. His name is Mike Luntz. I mean, he's been really, really physical, getting after it. He can rush the passer. He can stop the run. He's very smart, very cerebral. He does a really, really good job. And then, you back it up to our linebacker core. Those guys have been outstanding. Obviously, you lose Aaron Boog-Smith, who's doing outstanding right now with the Jets. But you have a young man by the name of Jordan Franklin. He's been in the program. These guys have been here. They've got a lot of playing snaps, doing an outstanding job. And we got a transfer linebacker from Arkansas State named R.J. Kelly. R.J. Kelly has really had an outstanding camp. So, all in all, we'll be good up front. Our guys will do a good job. They understand the mission here at South Carolina State, and it always starts with stopping that run. No doubt about it.
Coach, the transfer portal, the names and faces change, but the game is still the same. Talk about that, as now we're a few years into the portal, and it's kind of a constant now. You can go in there and get some gentlemen to come in, and these rosters are changing every year, but the portal, what does that look like in guys that are playing with Bulldogs on their chest now?
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, that's really what the game is, especially on our level, on the FCS level. The bigger schools are going to pick from our teams, our better players, and they're going to. A lot of times, our young men leave. We try to make sure we take care of the ones that are here, and if they decide to stay, we love to have them. If they decide to leave, then we wish them well. We have some guys that are on the other level right now doing outstanding. But again, it's about the next man up mentality. I mean, you have to coach them that way. Yes, we're about recruit them, retain them, develop them, then graduate them. But the reality is these days, it's hard to retain them, to be honest. So we're going to continue to do a great job of being intentional with what we recruit. And then we give guys opportunities. I'm that guy that don't believe in red shirt. Man, we're going to play the best guy. If you're the best guy, you're going to get out there, because the reality is we might not have you long anyway, to be honest, just to be truthful. But, we have to be able to adapt and pivot in today's society. Do we like it as coaches? No, we don't like it. But at the end of the day, I got to get the 2025 team ready, regardless of who it is. So we have 105 young men that have bought into it, whether they come from other universities or institutions, they bought into our process. And our process is what it is. All right, it is what it is. And it's a winning traditional program that we win year in and year out. And because that's why I call it a program and not a football team. And we've been a consistent program in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference for quite some time now.
Thank you, Coach. Have a blessed week and a great game, your first game of the season.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Our next questions for Coach Barry come from Chris Stevens.
Good morning, Coach. Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports. Good to see you. How you doing?
What's up, Chris, man? How you doing today?
Man, I'm good. So you've already covered the basics as far as, the portal and different things of that nature. But I just wanted to know, is there any position group in particular that stands out for you as you get ready for Wofford this weekend?
Wow. I mean, so many. But let's start with our secondary. I talked a little bit about the front and the linebackers. Our secondary, we're very talented back there. I mean, to be honest, and obviously we have Jared Washington, who's a returning preseason All-American. He had a great year for us. He's back and he's doing an outstanding job. But, all in all, you look at those guys in the back end, we're probably 2 to 3 deep good back there in our whole secondary, and they compete day in and day out. So that gives us the ability to do a lot of different things, on our back end. We just, can do, change it up as far as our defensive coordinator can do some things because we're so talented back there on the back end. But, these guys were talented at other places, all right, but they get the opportunity to do it in the Garden and Blue. For us, when we take transfers or even high school guys, we're very intentional about what we take. We don't just take guys just to take them. They have to be productive on where they left from, whatever level, whether it's an FBS guy, another FCS university, or a Division II or NAIA program. It doesn't matter. They have to be productive where they left from. They have to be a playmaker where they left from. And we've got some guys here that are very, very talented. And so I'll probably, more than anything, our secondary has been special, and our kickers and punters. I mean, it's been like a exciting competition going on in training camp. People talk about offense, people talk about defense. But if you don't have a kicking game, which is the third phase of the game, you're not going to be very successful. So we talk about winning the field position battle. We talk about making sure that points are a premium. And we have some kickers, long snappers, holders, punters that are doing an outstanding job in training camp.
Obviously, 2024, I got to go back to that line you said in the beginning, about, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, and today's a present. Today's a gift. That's why I call it. That's a bar. That's a bar. And just with that in mind, just how important has it been to kind of sort of not let these returning guys, number one, get the big head about winning last year, or number two, not feeling the pressure of having that target on your back as you guys were ranked number 1 in the preseason?
Listen, man, last time I checked, man, Bulldogs hunt. So we don't look at the hunted type mindset. We don't even talk about last year, to be honest, man. That's just kind of who I am. If you notice, if you looked at social media, we gave our rings out sometime this summer, because I don't even talk about 2024 at all. So our guys are humble and hungry. They understand it's a new team. All right, nobody cares about preseason rankings. Just like last year, I think they had us at number 4 or 5 or something like that. Nobody cares anything about preseason ranking. We appreciate the respect, but all in all, we got to go play the game. The ball gonna kick off. And everybody's trying to get us. We understand that. But at the end of the day, we have a hunter mindset as well. We're trying to go get it. We're hungry every day. If you watch how our guys practice every day and how demanding I am as the head football coach, and how demanding, first of all, I'm going to be on, because I don't coach a position, I coach the coaches. So I'm very demanding on the coaches, and in turn, they're very demanding on their players. So all in all, it's been fun. Training camp's been fun. But, I'm excited about see how this new team looks. I have a really good buddy of mine, as you guys know, Willie Simmons. He and I talk every day. He's down there at FIU with his team. And, we just talked about, you can't worry about last year's team. You can't worry about what happened in the past. We got to get this team ready to go. And that's how I can focus on this 2025 team and make sure that they're ready to go when we kick that ball off this upcoming Saturday.
I'm still in that quote. I'm going to put it somewhere, Coach. Thank you for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend.
God bless you, man. Appreciate you, man. Take care.
Our next questions for Coach Barry come from Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach. Dwayne Nash from the Yard, HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Dwayne. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. 7 out-of-conference opponents they will be facing this year. How do you navigate through those 7 games with 44 new players? Do you necessarily treat those games more like preseason games as you get ready for conference play in late October? But you're also looking to win these games as well. How do you navigate your team through those matchups?
Well, we have a 1-0 mindset. When you win a game, regardless of win, lose, or draw, guess what? You got 24 hours to enjoy it. You got to go get ready for the next one. All right. So, we don't look ahead. Matter of fact, I don't even know who we play week 2. I have no idea who we play. I mean, you guys might know, but we're trying to get ready for Wofford, man. I mean, that's just really how we kind of build it around here, to be honest. And yes, we're going to have games leading up until we play our last 5 regular season games of the season versus our MEAC opponents. But all in all, we gotta just try to go 1-0, man. All in all, whoever we're playing, and we're playing some really good opponents, to be honest. I mean, at the end of the day, all we can focus on is getting ready for Wofford, and that's kind of where our mindset is right now. We've been working all summer and all training camp on Wofford, and that's our focus at this moment.
All right, thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you. Take care.
Me too.
That concludes all the questions for Coach Barry. Thank you for joining us this morning.
All right, Coach. I'm chanting, we ready in my head. We ready.
Let's do it. Let's do it. God bless. Take care, guys.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yes, take care.
South Carolina State will host Wofford on Saturday, August 30th at the Oliver C. Dawson Stadium in Orangeburg, South Carolina. That game kicks off at 6 p.m. on ESPN+. Our next head coach and our next interview is with Morgan State head coach Damon Wilson. Last year, the Bears finished 6-6 overall, 3-2 in conference play. This season, Morgan State is predicted to finish 3rd in conference preseason polls. The Bears are led by head coach Damon Wilson. Good morning, Coach Wilson.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm great. Well, you look pretty calm. I was getting messages that you had a couple of bells and whistles that were going on your end, and I see no signs of that heading into this interview.
We were doing testing of smoke detectors or fire alarms in the building, but they shut it down for us.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you for joining us this morning, Coach. Well, Morgan State enters this 2025 campaign picked to finish 3rd, right behind other conference powerhouses, North Carolina Central and South Carolina State. With the growth of this program under your leadership, what do you see as the next steps for the Bears to push closer to that championship level?
I'm just being consistent. We've played up and down, in 24 seasons. So just being consistent, finishing games, doing all the little things right. Once again, when you're trying to change a mindset and a culture at a university, there's a lot of factors that play into it. We've made some major strides, but we still got some ways to go. But all in all, we talk about finishing and being consistent throughout our daily routines.
Well, Coach, you have been consistent with preaching consistency over the past few years. And this year, you do return several key playmakers that will help with continuing that message, including preseason Defensive Player of the Year, Eric Hunter, and preseason Offensive Player, Jason Collins Jr. How important will their leadership and the impact be for setting the tone for this season?
It's going to be extremely important. Hunter's a guy that's been here. He's a graduate student. He's a guy that understands the expectation. He missed last year as he had to rehab an injury, but played the last game of the season. But it's been a blessing to get him back on the field and lead our defense along with other guys that we have defensively. And Jason's a young guy. Jason had a very successful freshman season. Was able to get some things done that we asked him to do. But also, we're trying to improve his overall game this year. We're going to move him around a little bit, just not in the backfield. He'll be playing receiver, and we try to get the ball in his hands and allow him to make plays for us.
Interesting. Well, looking ahead this week, you open the season on the road against South Alabama. What stands out to you about this opponent, and what will your team need to do in order to compete effectively in this matchup?
They're good. They're big up front. They're physical up front. They're going to run the football. They're going to get a lot of movements and shifts and motion out of different personnel groupings offensively. And defensively, they fly around and play good football. They have, like all the coaches mentioned before, first game of the season, I think they probably lost 17 or so transfers. So they got some new guys in their program who we don't know what they're capable of doing right now. But we're focusing on us, making sure that we can stop the run, number one, and be physical up front, and offensively try to create some mismatches. Give ourselves a chance to win the ball game. Special teams guys, I think we feel that we have a very good special teams kicking game, and so I think we'll be fine there. But offensively, we must be able to get the ball out of playmakers' hands, and defensively eliminate big plays and eliminate any self-inflicted wounds. Coach Trei Oliver, man, they did a great job this past weekend as far as that first game of the season and eliminating those first game mistakes that you see. So we want to play a clean game, and I think that it gives us a chance to be successful.
Well, thanks, Coach Wilson. That concludes my questions this morning. We'll ask you to stay on the line for any additional questions from the media. As a reminder, please use the raised hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayfield. Our first questions for Coach Wilson come from Ray Rogers.
Coach Wilson, good morning.
What's going on, Ray? How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. Hope all is well on your end. I know you're getting excited, close, and you're a Commanders fan. You're gonna be excited. Terry just signed too, by the way. But
yeah, I just saw that, man. That's good news.
I'm sure. But getting to your team, of course, you preach a family atmosphere, and you've had some guys. You mentioned Eric, also Taj, have had some injuries, some serious, significant injuries. How have you focused on the mental health component? Because coming back from injuries can weigh on you mentally. How's that been for your entire team? Because so much is focused on the field, X's and O's, but that mental piece is so important. How have you handled that this offseason?
Man, Ray, that's a great question. And one thing, I mean, in order to build my coaching staff or the coach with me, we have to have that ability to have the open door policy, just to have those conversations outside of football. But fortunately enough for us, we have also an embedded counselor within our athletic department. So if a guy needs additional resources available to him, but guys like Eric and you mentioned Taj, man, those guys coming off, we chop it up. During the off season, hey, how you doing? Is there anything we can do to help? So those conversations help a lot. But those guys have moved from it. Eric has had once again a tremendous camp. We're excited about him. We got to replace Elijah Williams, who's a guy that I think is in the next few hours or so should be solidified on the 53-man roster. He's a pro, and you got another pro like Eric Hunter coming back in your program. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table this year.
You mentioned that Eric put on muscle this offseason. You just mentioned how great of a camp. Just talk about just the nutrition and the training that you guys implemented. Did you make any changes coming into this season, or has it been kind of status quo in order to achieve results like that? That's a big deal. Did you say up to 10 pounds, was it?
Yeah. Eric is now about 224, which is great. That was a goal to get him over that 220 mark, and he's there. And as far as the training table, we were able to implement a little training table this past summer for summer conditioning, which you can see the guys' bodies starting to change a little bit, getting better quality food in their system, which is good. So that's a step in the right direction to continue to try to move the program forward. And our strength and conditioning coaches did a great job this past summer with the guys. We had probably about 80% of the guys around both sessions, which is good. And so, like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing how all the work put in, see it come out on Saturdays.
All right, good luck, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you, Rick.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Chris Stevens.
Good morning. Well, almost good afternoon now, Coach Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports. How you doing?
Hey, Chris, you noticed that too. It's almost 12, huh?
And I'm looking forward to lunch, but we gotta get through these questions first. So
Good afternoon, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Good. So well, you mentioned Elijah, and we in the media space have just been banging the drum of just about how phenomenal this young man is. Just how exciting is it to see? I mean, I don't know if you're a "I told you so" type of person, but you see these folks, talking up Elijah during the broadcast. All of these scouts. Is it sort of a point of pride to say that we told you this kid was good?
First, I'm going to acknowledge you guys in the work that you put into display some of our student athletes, not just at Morgan State, but across, the landscape of our conference. And I'm not a "I told you so" guy, but I'm really glad that he's getting everything he deserves. I had an opportunity to go see him Friday. We broke camp. I flew out to Tennessee to see him play in the last preseason game. And every coach I talked to in the Minnesota Vikings staff, as well as to the Tennessee Titans staff, all of them talked about Elijah Williams and the brand of football that they brought to that locker room, and how well he's representing our conference. So I appreciate you guys for the support. Those guys at the highest level, they get paid to do a job. And right now, they're going to have to make a decision in the next few hours. But this guy has been a pro. He's been pro his probably his junior year, and he continues to excel. He's at a great defensive line room right now in the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm excited about him. But he's getting everything that he deserves. He's a graduate of Morgan State University. Was able to leave his all-time sack leader. He loves his university. It's also hats off to my coaching staff for keeping a guy like that in the program, because he had an opportunity to go other places as well, but he stuck it out here and walked out here with his degree. So I'm really excited about what he's doing right now.
And coming back to this season, this is it's an interesting year across the MEAC, of course, with new coaches, preseason polls and different things of that nature. Just what has been the message you've imparted on your team as you guys break camp?
But just focusing on us, and like I said, continue to do the little things right. Work, like we talk about finishing. I continue to say that because that's something we hadn't done. But we have to get better every day. A lot of folks, when you're here at Morgan State and hadn't had success in a long time and or sustained success, you're talking about the end goal. But you can't get to the end goal until you do all the little things right on the front, on the forefront. So that's my biggest thing as a coach and the staff, just to make sure that we do the things right on a daily basis. And if we're so fortunate and we do those things right, we'll be where we need to be at the end of the year. But we cannot look at the end goal before you do those things on a daily basis to get you there.
And my last question, is there any particular position group that has stood out for you as you get ready for the season? Is there, just one group that just kind of stands out to you, says, all right, these guys are ready to rock and roll?
I mean, I think our defensive line, these guys, man, we're going to do it by committee. Like I say, replacing Elijah is tough, but we have 17, 18 guys in camp that show that you have the ability to play. Offensive line, we made some adjustments there. So up front, our guys up front, all in all, really competed hard this camp, and they're going to have their hands full this upcoming week. That's for sure. So I'm looking to see where we fare against the FBS opponent in South Alabama, who won a bowl game last year. So once again, we have our work cut out for us, but I'm excited about the team that we put together.
All right, Coach. Thanks for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend.
You got it, Chris. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from James Hill.
Coach, how you doing? I hope you and everyone in Baltimore are well. How you doing, sir?
I'm well, James. How about yourself, brother?
I'm blessed. Your captains, there's 4 gentlemen who are part of the Bears family who will look forward to guiding this team. Tell us about the captains and what that looks like.
We'll start with Danny. Danny's a guy that's been here. He was here before I arrived here, red-shirted, had a little injury, battled back from the injury, on course to graduate. Just a physical, knowledgeable guy that has the ability to make other people around him better or make them better. And that's a reason why Danny was selected as a captain. Then you talk about Eric. Eric he's a Morgan State guy. He's going to support the volleyball team, the basketball team. He's going to hold his guys accountable in his linebacker room, but as well as across the board. He's a leader on campus, a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. So he's doing things from an SGA standpoint and Greek life on campus that's really special to have him as a captain. Guy JoJo Kennerly. JoJo was here before I came as well. JoJo's a guy red-shirted and battle through some adversity, but he's grown so much as a young man. I think it was the right thing to do to name him a captain, because you have other freshmen that come into university that may not be prepared for college. JoJo went through those days. JoJo was a 2.5 student. Now JoJo's over 3.0 student in graduate school. So he understands what it's about to put in the necessary work to be successful. And Toro Maddox, he's just a steady guy. He's going to be where he belongs, come from a very good program here in the DC area, St. John's. And he's a leader. He's kind of a born leader. And he's a guy, when Eric was down last year, kind of filled that void. And so it was the right thing to do to name him a captain again this year.
Coach, your training camp and gentlemen getting ready for the trip down to South Alabama. Take us into training camp and some of the gentlemen who are emerging as you look forward to going down south to play a good football game on Saturday.
Training camp was it was tough. It was grueling, it was grueling. They competed at a high level every day. They were pretty physical. We were able to get 2 scrimmages in. Had several guys get quality reps when the officials were here. But some of the guys that really stood out, like I said, offensive, defensive line guys. We can go up and down the deal, but DeSean Fields is a guy, defensive line, is a young guy that really excelled. Talk about the Toro Maddox. He's another guy that's had a good camp. Jaden Carter, guy had a good camp defensively. Offensively, Jason Collins has been pretty consistent. Picked up another running back from Army, Randall. Randall had a pretty good camp. He picked up the offense pretty quickly. But we have a young receiving core, so we're going to play some true freshmen at the wide receivers. And I think those guys are really, really special. And they had to do a, kind of learn fast over that summer 2 session to learn where to line up. So now they're starting to play faster because they know where to go. And I'm excited about those guys as well.
Coach, in closing, why is it good sometime to go on the road in week 1 for that bond of a team and for you guys to do what you got to do to set the foundation, that us against the world mentality?
I mean, it takes away all the distractions. We know everybody's not going to be able to travel with us from a family standpoint. You don't have to deal with the tickets and all that good stuff. So it's really, like you said, just us. We're going to go down to Mobile, Alabama, play a really good football team. And we really have no one to converse with, to deal with outside of our football team, which is great. Definitely we got a young ball club at certain positions. So those guys will be able to get in that atmosphere, be around one another, pull from one another, and play a ball game on Saturday night.
Thank you, sir. Have a blessed week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Dwayne Nash.
Good afternoon, Coach. Dwayne Nash with the Yard HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you today?
I'm good, Dwayne. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Throughout your time there in Baltimore, one of the issues or one of the things that seems to escape you has been consistent quarterback play. What does your ideal signal caller look like there in Baltimore, and how close are you to having it on your roster right now?
I think we have him on the roster. We brought 6 quarterbacks in for camp, and it's a process with those guys. But I think we have some guys on the roster that we can win with. And you're right, that's been a problem for us. And I think we've solved found some answers to that problem. And I'm looking forward to see these guys play on Saturday. So we have a few guys that we feel that we can have a chance to win with, and we're going to let those guys go out there and play football and give us an opportunity to win on Saturday.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Good luck this Saturday.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Ty Miller. All right.
We got to get that microphone again. We got to get his mic together.
Yeah, we'll switch over to Lute Williams for the time being while Ty gets his audio working, Coach.
Okay. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Brother Williams. How about yourself?
Doing fine, man. Dwayne asked kind of quarterback. I wanted to answer Amir Hall, might be that kind of quarterback.
Hey, I wish I could have him every day, every year as a coach. I think every coach would love having a guy like Hall.
Absolutely. For those who don't know, he's the Bowie State 2-time CIAA Player of the Year. But what I wanted to ask, Coach, is it seems like you've gotten off to good starts the last couple of years, winning your first game. I think you took some FBS teams to the wire. what's been the reason for the good starts, and what's going to be key to kind of continuing that to try to put together a more consistent across the board year?
I think the preparation, you have a lot of time off season to prepare for that first opponent, those early on opponents. But in the conference, we play 7 non-conference games, and the teams you're playing it's a wide range. So the FBS opponents that we played thus far, they have been good football games. We have 2 on the schedule this year, and we want to give ourselves a chance to win the ball game in the fourth quarter. Eliminate those self-inflicted wounds. Offsides or turnovers, those sort of things, pre-snap penalties. And I think that'll give us an opportunity. How do you sustain that type of play? You have to do all the little things right. I continue to say that. You can't get too high, can't get too low after win or loss. I mean, it's a long season, and we play some really good non-conference opponents this year to lead into a conference play, which is a really good conference. So you want us to be healthy, but we understand injuries are part of the game. But all in all, I think the preparation is what's given us a chance to be successful early on.
So what's been the deal with South Alabama? I heard you mention that they won a bowl game. What kind of challenges, what kind of assets do they have that's going to be difficult for you to manage and handle?
Well, their entire offensive line comes back. They lost the starting quarterback to the transfer portal. They lost a couple of running backs to the transfer portal. So somebody's going to replace those guys. But it starts up front. And up front, they got some guys that get after it pretty good. They give you a lot of different movements and alignments with regards to personnel. So you got to make the right calls. You got to fit in the right gaps. So, just being physical and stopping the run, that will give us a chance. And once again, we have to get the ball offensively to our playmakers. And if we do that, we'll give ourselves a chance to win a ball game.
And before I let Ty get in, Eric Hunter coming back, better than he was before. I know you said put on some more weight. How critical is it going to be to have him in the middle of your defense?
I think he is better than what he was before because he had another year to learn. He understands the defensive scheme. He also understands how this game can be taken away from you abruptly. So he's cherishing every moment that he has on the football field. He's a guy that's watched Elijah go through his process for 4 years, and he understands that he wants to play at the next level. He has to dominate at this level. And so he's taking kind of bull by the horns and running with it. We're going to move him around some defensively this year, so you'll see him all over the place because I think he's a guy that can play at every level on a defensive system.
Good luck. Get a win in Mobile.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
And we will jump back to Ty Miller.
All right, Coach, can you hear me now?
I got you, Ty.
All right. I want to follow up on South Alabama. You mentioned that their quarterback transferred, but the guy who replaced him, Bishop Davenport, he had a great game against Western Michigan in that bowl game with 271 yards passing, 85 yards rushing. What jumps out on tape about him when you watched it?
You just mentioned it. He can throw it and he can run it, and they do a lot of things with those guys that can cause you a problem if you're not playing sound defense. So once again, he's a guy that can hurt you with his arm or his leg, so we have to play sound defense.
Also, Coach, they lost they have the offensive line coming back, but Kentrell Bullock is their main running back. He's on the Walter Payton watch list. What about him have you seen?
Physical, agile, great balance, vision, good football player. They have good football players up and down their roster. But like I said, we have to stop the run and eliminate explosive plays to give ourselves a chance.
Coach, I looked at their roster too of coaches, and one guy that stands out is Broderick Fobbs, who family. With a guy like that on staff at South Alabama, what kind of intel can he give them about, first of all, the HBCU experience and what to expect from a Morgan State team?
That's a great question. And one thing, when I knew Coach Fobbs on the staff there, is I know he's going to have them prepared mentally with regards to understanding this is not just a regular FCS game. This is not just a quote unquote a HBCU program coming in here. He's going to educate them on the history of the style of football that we play. And so he'll have the guys prepared. He has definitely some insight. He's been very successful. He was very successful as an FCS coach in the conference. So, he understands what type of style we're going to bring to Alabama on Saturday.
Well, Coach, good luck for the entire season. We look forward to talking to you again next week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
That concludes all of our questions for Coach Wilson. Mrs. Mayfield, back over to you.
Coach Wilson, thank you so much for joining us this morning, this afternoon, hanging out with us. I will say I learned today that you were a Commanders fan. And so we've always had a pretty good professional working relationship, but I don't wish the same sentiments because I'm on a different team for the NFC. And so, I need you to hold your quarterback at bay as we meet in September.
I appreciate you, Ms. Patricia.
All right, Coach. Best of luck and safe travels this week.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Morgan State will travel to Mobile, Alabama to take on South Alabama. That game kicks off Saturday, August 30th, and will be played at the Hancock Whitney Stadium. That game kicks off at 7 p.m. and will broadcast live on ESPN+. This concludes the first MEAC Weekly Football Video Coaches video conference call presented by our great partners, Wells Fargo. Before we end the conference, we would like to thank all that assisted and participated in today's video conference call. The MEAC would also like to thank its corporate partners for their continued support of the conference and its Elite 8 member institutions. As a reminder, the next video conference call will be held on next Monday, September 1st at 10 a.m. For more information on MEAC football and other sponsored sports, visit meacsports.com and follow the MEAC on social media at MEAC Sports on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Coaches Video Conference and have a great football week.